Welcome to the Anything Goes podcast. I am your host, Kombat AllStar. Today, we're going to be talking about villains. That's right, villains. A story broke today that Will Smith is actually trying to petition or convince WB of making a Deadshot movie. So, a Deadshot movie, I personally don't think the character is a strong enough character. He's a very interesting character by any means, but I don't think he's a strong enough character to have his own movie. If you guys don't know his story, he's basically a guy who went out there and he was a part of a war. He was a mercenary. He was awesome at his job, and he went to come home. I guess his duty was over. He went home and he didn't know how to cope. He was very violent. He hit his wife, and he just wasn't a good parent, a good husband. He was drinking a lot, and he just couldn't deal with it. So he went out and he became a mercenary again, and he loved his family. He loved his daughter. So he went out there and he basically did his job. He was a mercenary. All the money he made, he took just enough for him to sleep and eat. The rest of his money, he put it in a bank account for his family so they could live comfortably. And that's basically his story. So, I mean, you could sympathize with him, empathize with him. He's a veteran. He didn't know how to cope with life. He was one of those guys that, just had a lot of problems that most veterans or people of war have. And he couldn't cope with the regular life. So, he's not necessarily bad, but he's not good at all either. He's kind of a mix of the two. And that's kind of his story. You can kind of do, he's had run-ins with Green Arrow. He's, Suicide Squad. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot you could do with him. He doesn't necessarily have a main story or main villains or anything like that. So, it'd be interesting to do it, but I don't think he doesn't have enough lore and enough appeal to actually do his own solo movie. That's just my opinion. But, I think having villains, and this is like my main point of the podcast today, is to talk about villains. Should they have their own movies? I mean, no villain has had their own movie yet. I guess you can kind of say Suicide Squad would be the first, because the movie comprised full of villains, but they're doing good stuff. If you guys know the Suicide Squad story, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But to have a villain have their own solo movie, I think would be kind of interesting. And I thought that DC was going to actually be the first to do this with Black Adam. When I found out that Rock was actually being cast as Black Adam a while ago, we all found that out, about a year ago. But it is going to be a Shazam movie, and he's going to be the bad guy in it. So I think it would be kind of cool. I think it'd be really cool to have a villain in a movie. I don't know what villains should have their first movie. I know a lot of people off the bat, the Joker, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, we've seen so many variations of Joker. He's been in so many different movies. We all know about the Killing Joke. That animated movie is coming pretty soon. The Joker has just been everywhere. I kind of am tired of seeing him. I would love to see a Rogues movie. A movie strictly about the Rogues. I think they're the most interesting villains out there. I mean, they're not psychotic. They're not going out there to destroy the world or anything. They just want to go out there and live their lives, man. They want to live their lives. If you guys aren't familiar with the Rogues, they're a team of 5 bad guys who basically go out there and they are just trying to live. I mean, they look at robbing banks and everything, and I mean, they're basically thieves, a gang full of thieves. So their whole thing is they want to go out there and they want to rob banks, and they want to whatever they have to do to get money, whether it's breaking into some poor rich guy's house and taking all their stuff, or just robbing a bank, or whatever it takes for the score, whatever it takes to get money. You know what I mean? So their whole story is that they want to get money. They don't want to kill anybody. They just want to earn money, not earn money, but steal money, get money, and that's their career. So, I mean, basically, for the Rogues, they go and they'll rob a bank, or they'll knock off some rich guy, and then they'll go to this bar. And the bar is the coolest thing ever. Okay, so I know I'm talking a lot about details, but oh man, the devil is in the details. So there's a bar in, I think it's either Central City or one of the gem cities. I can't remember which city it is. But I don't think it's in Central City though. I think it's in the other city. But in Flash's universe, that he patrols the Gem Cities, which is it's gosh, I'm having a Central City and another city, which I can't remember the name of that city for the life of me. But there's a bar in that second city, and it's a bar that's been preserved since like the Western days. So basically, the rules of the bar is any villain or bad guy, whatever, can go in there. The cops can go in there if they want, but they can't make any arrests. Anything that the villains say in there, they can't be used against them in the court of law. This bar is basically their base, their timeout. You know what I mean? Nothing counts in there. So they go to this bar, they drink, they talk about their wives. Oh man, she kicked me out on the sofa, and blah 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 blah. Or, oh, I'm having a hard day. My kid, he doesn't get it. They talk like normal people, and they're not, like I said, they're not psychotic like the Joker. They're not crazy like 90% of the villains out there. They're just regular people trying to go out there, and they treat it as a career. They're just career criminals. That's it. Career criminals, and that's just it. And the rogues are comprised of Captain Cold, who's the leader, Mirror Master, who's basically, his power is to jump inside mirrors and inside reflections, so he can grab money and hop inside reflections or whatever. Captain Cold, of course, he has the most advanced freeze gun out there. Even Mr. Freeze said that his technology is inferior compared to Captain Cold's. Captain Cold's is miles away. Heat Wave, that should kind of speak for itself. Guy who has a gun who can go ahead and burn you up, incinerate you. Weather Wizard, who can control the weather. The Trickster is amazing. Okay, let me go back to the Weather Wizard before I get into the Trickster. The Weather Wizard is basically a guy who can control the weather. Now, he had a device to control the weather before, but when the New 52, they rebooted everybody and they kind of fused with their weapons. So Captain Cold can actually shoot ice out of his hands. Heat Wave can shoot fire out of his hands. Weather Wizard can control the weather much like Storm. So now they have actually powers. Their weapons are turned to actually their guns and everything turn to actually themselves, and they're able to shoot this stuff off like they're metahumans. So the Trickster is an amazing character because he's just a regular dude who is on his meds. And there is a scene, I don't know if you guys watch Justice League. Of course you watch Justice League. You're my fans. Of course, we're all geeks and nerds. You've seen Justice League Unlimited. There's a scene where there was the Flash Day episode, and there's a scene where the Trickster is in the bar. They're all trying to capture the Flash and everything. So the Trickster is sitting in the bar, and Flash walks in, and he's like, Jim. He's like, yeah, what's up, Flash? You're wearing the suit again. Oh, I am. It's like, you're off your meds, aren't you? He's like, I don't need those medicines, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, what are the rogues planning? And he tells them what the rogues are planning. And he's like, oh, I forgot. Turn yourself in after your drink. Got me again, Flash. So it's just, he is such a little kid. He's so great. I really, really hated the fact that Mark Hamill played him in the old school Flash TV show back in the 90s and the new Flash TV show, because I feel like he acts like the Joker, and the Trickster is nothing like the Joker. He's the most lovable bad guy ever. He is so funny. He's so great. And he's just seriously just a mental patient, like a regular mental patient that just needs to take medicine to be normal. When he doesn't, he just dresses up really weird and does the stupidest things. So Trickster is also one of the rogues. Pied Piper is one of the rogues. And then Captain Boomerang. There's a guy named the Top. I don't really consider him one of the rogues, but there's Captain Boomerang. And then there's Glider, which was introduced in the New 52 as well. She's Captain Cold's sister. And she's a part of the rogues too. So I mean, those are the rogues. I know I didn't go through everybody's kind of power, but I mean, with names like Captain Boomerang and Pied Piper, it's kind of easy to realize what those guys' powers are. But yeah, they should definitely have their own movie. The Rogues should have their own movie. It would be an amazing story. It would be lots of laughs. It would be more funny than Guardians of the Galaxy. And I know that's saying a lot, but I mean, you guys don't know these guys like I know these guys. They're great. They're the most dysfunctional group ever. They work so well together, and it would just be an amazing ride. And then to actually see villains taking on heroes, so you kind of see it from the opposite point of view, and to see if the crowd like root for the rogues, or would they empathize with the rogues. I mean, good storytelling would have you do that. I feel like if you're telling a good story, and the rogues are on screen or whoever's on screen, I mean, you empathize with them. It's like Star Wars. Yeah. Like, okay, so like episode 1, 2, and 3, right? You have it's all Anakin's story. So you empathize with the character. I mean, when I was watching 4, 5, and 6, I was like, that guy sucks. That guy's a real piece of work. But when you watch episode 1, 2, and 3, you get it. His mom died. He didn't really want to leave home, but he wanted to be a Jedi. He was, taken advantage of, and he was underappreciated by the Jedi Council. You know what I mean? Like, all the things that happened to him, I get why he's Darth Vader. And I told someone this, too, that once I watched 1, 2, and 3, I went back and watched 4, 5, and 6, and those 3 movies made me care about 4, 5, and 6 so much more, because I knew so much more about the bad guy. I knew more about Vader. I knew more about Senator Palpatine, or the Emperor, and I knew where they came from. So it was like kind of watching this natural progression of characters that I knew, go into this new situation and face off people that I didn't necessarily know. So I mean, it was a great ride. And if something like that, episodes 1, 2, and 3, can make me empathize and care about the villain, then a movie that's based solely on the villains, I'm sure would make me do the same thing. Make me care about them, empathize, sympathize, and make me root for the characters at a certain extent. Could you imagine I don't know, a movie about Zod, but like watching a Zod movie and rooting for Zod and like, boo, Superman? That'd be such an interesting dynamic, and it would be different. I feel like Marvel has basically kind of destroyed the whole superhero movie thing for me. I really feel like I mean, unless the story is really well written, which they have been so far, I feel like I don't want to see another superhero movie. I am so burnt out with superhero movies, and to see a supervillain movie would completely change the game. It would completely change everyone's perspectives. It would completely change how we look at these characters. It would completely change what's good and what's bad. And I would love that. I would love to see that. So Will Smith is definitely on the right track, trying to get something like this happening. I don't think this is the right character. I know he's doing this because he plays a character in Suicide Squad. Yes, people, I know. I am no fool. But I really feel like it should be another character. I really feel like, it should be the Rogues. My heart of hearts, it should definitely be the Rogues. And I am a little biased. Flash is my favorite character of all time. Closely followed by Captain America. But I think it should be the Rogues. And by the way, I don't like the guy that's playing the Flash in the movies. I just don't. He's not Barry Allen. I don't care what no one says. Hopefully he can act his butt off and convince me otherwise. But don't like him. But I would love to see the Rogues. Maybe the Rogues going up against him in a movie, and I would like him more. Maybe I'd appreciate him more. I don't know. But definitely would like to see that. I don't know what other, aside from the Rogues, I can't think of any other characters or any other villains I would really like to see. Maybe Mr. Freeze. Maybe a Mr. Freeze movie, because he's one of those characters that I have never ever looked at as a bad guy. He was always one of those guys who I felt sorry for, and I kind of rooted for. You know what I mean? I kind of felt bad when Batman put him away, and he just, the whole thing with his wife, all he's doing is just trying to, cure his wife. That's all he wants to do. He loves his wife. He's doing anything and everything in his power to cure his wife. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's the most important thing. He's not out there trying to get revenge or destroy Batman. He just, if you get in his way, he will kill you, but just don't get in his way, and he's not after anybody. So maybe a Mr. Freeze movie. I like to see a Rogues movie, a Mr. Freeze movie. Definitely not a Joker movie. I can't think of any other bad guy off the top of my head that I would want to see. I think Black Adam would have been pretty interesting to see, because I don't know a lot about him, and I know Shazam is based heavily in Greek mythology, which I love. So maybe a Black Adam movie, definitely a Rogues, definitely a Mr. Freeze movie. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. Give me more villains. Give me a villain movie. I mean, We got a little bit of taste with episode 1, 2, and 3, and it's never happened before. It would definitely change the game. I would love to see it. Love to see it. So, what do you guys think? Would you guys like to see a movie about villains? And if so, what villain would you like to see a movie about? I mean, there's a typical joke and everything. Would you like to see a Scarecrow movie? Would you like to see? I know Batman's villains are the most iconic villains out there. Not in my opinion, but just in the minds of the people who don't necessarily read comics. Would you like to see a Bizarro movie? Would you like to see a Cheetah movie? A Cheetah movie would be pretty awesome, actually, to see, her story unfold on the big screen, her being an ex-Amazon and using magic to turn herself into a cheetah and all that. So I would like to see a Cheetah movie, too. That would be pretty cool. I can't think of really a lot of bad guys right now. Definitely a Darkseid movie would be epic, but they're already doing something with Darkseid and Batman vs Superman, so that's coming. But I would still like to see it anyway. See kind of how his story is pretty cool too. How he was a regular dude and he craved power and he ended up tricking one of the gods of his planet and killed him. Got his power and then ended up killing all the other gods on his planet as well, and then becoming the ultimate god on his planet and claiming ownership of it and ruling it and everything. So his story is pretty amazing too. Why can't we get a Darkseid movie? I lost my thought there. Why can't we get a Darkseid movie? So I mean, even that would be cool. So like I said, in the comments below, let me know what type of villain movie would you like to see. I think it's an awesome idea for villains to have their own movie. Let me know what you think. And also, to remind you guys, the contest is still going on. Free Kombat AllStar T-Shirt. Kombat AllStar Show T-Shirt. Excuse me, it's a show. It's not the T-shirt, with all about me, but it's a Kombat AllStar Show T-shirt. It looks really awesome. All you got to do to enter to win the T-shirt is to go ahead and watch the Rogue One Atomic Cast. Subscribe to the channel. If you already subscribed, you're good to go. Leave a comment, and then when I do the Kombat AllStar Show at the end of the month, I'm going to be announcing the winner. I'm going to announce that winner on the show, and then I'll have details for you to contact me so I can go ahead and ship that sucker out to you from the distributor. So go ahead and do that. Watch that show, and of course, like, subscribe, and share. And until next time.